Remember those two vile grubs who, on Anzac Day, spray-painted messages on RSLs across Melbourne, including F Anzac and Kill the Troops? Well, they're in court today. And guess what? 22-year-old Edith Pope and 20-year-old Charlie Ann Tidmarsh, they went to Heidelberg Magistrates Court, but they completely covered themselves from head to toe. Pink face mask on one, white face mask on the other, and what looked like thrifted clothes, so old-fashioned floral headscarves, old-fashioned coats, and their merry band of supporters holding up black umbrellas so no one could see their faces or indeed any part of their person. And surprise, surprise, the pair successfully argued to have their bail conditions relaxed so they could associate with one another again. How nice. And the curfew that they originally got, which was between 10 and 6 a.m, was also amended so they can travel to and from work during those times. Happy days. So, for all of those soldiers, for veterans, for all of the families in this country who lost people in wars, who went to war defending us and our way of life, shame on you, Edith and Charlie. And who's the coward now? Vile people, vile behaviour, and of course they go to court and walk out having their bail conditions relaxed so they can all go back about their business. It really does make your blood boil, doesn't it? And I think it's well and truly time we had cameras in the magistrates' court and it was broadcast like in the United States, so everyone can get a good look at what disrespect and ignorance looks like in the flesh.
I also want to praise the Herald Sun today. On their front page, they've named two young women who are accused of some appalling graffiti, desecration of war memorials and RSLs. They graffiti things like F the Anzacs and kill the troops, kill our troops on war memorials. Anyway, I'm going to name them two. One woman, her name is Charlie Tidmarsh. She's 20 from Reservoir. The other one is Edith Pope, who I think might be a pro-Palestine demonstrator, possibly at Melbourne Uni. Edith Pope is 22 from Northcote. Now, these two women faced court yesterday, and despite wanting to have their graffiti saying F the Anzacs and kill our troops and that sort of thing, they both wore head coverings, caps, face coverings and dark glasses because they didn't want their identities revealed. Now, I'll have more to say on this after 10, but these young women live in a country that affords women freedoms and opportunities that in many countries women do not get. And one of the reasons we have these freedoms and opportunities is because we have a defence force, you know, the men and women in which are prepared to put their lives on the line to protect us. These young women, and I'll explain why after 10, should be facing a lengthy jail term for what they've done. They are stupid, they are hypocrites, they're possibly quite evil, and yet they live in a society that is protected by the very people, the ADF members, who essentially guarantee these young women's way of life. Anyway, I'll have more to say on that after 10, but I have no hesitation in naming them, and they're cowards as well, because they're happy to graffiti hideous messages on war memorials to our war dead, and at the same time they want to cover up their faces when it's time to go to court. Okay, so these two young women who allegedly defaced a number of war memorials and RSLs and so forth, their names are Charlie Tidmarsh, she's a female Charlie, aged 20 from Reservoir, and Edith Pope, aged 22 from Northcote. Now, Edith Pope is, I believe, a pro-Palestinian activist, and I say this because she's allegedly signed a couple of petitions urging Melbourne University to tell the truth about Palestine, whatever that might be. But the point is, these two young women are charged with graffiti saying things like, and this is on war memorials and on RSLs, F the Anzacs, kill the troops, and by the troops they mean our troops. So what they're saying is, and I'll just assume that we'll say that allegedly, is we want to kill our own Australian Defence Force, F the Anzacs. Now, these two young women are both cowards. They're cowardly because they, did their graffiti in the dead of night. And when they turned up to court yesterday, they wore head coverings, baseball caps, sunglasses and face coverings. So they didn't want their identities known. So they're happy to make idiotic statements and deface war memorials, but they won't show their faces in public. Anyway, we know their names now. Charlie Tidmarsh, aged 20 of Reservoir. Edith Pope, possibly a pro-Palestinian activist, aged 22 in Northcote. In many countries around the world, many of them Muslim countries, not all, but many, think Gaza, where women are second-class citizens. Think Iran, where women can be beaten to death for not wearing a head covering. Think Afghanistan, where women can't speak aloud in public and aren't allowed to go to school anymore. Women in countries like these are treated as second-class citizens. If you are a young woman living in modern-day Australia, you are in just about the best country on earth. You have freedoms that were unimaginable or are unimaginable in many other countries. You have the right to express yourself. You have the right to a free trial. You have an excellent education system, excellent healthcare. You have the right to choose to have children or to not have children. If you're in a marriage with someone and you don't like it, you have the right to get divorced. All these things. Young women in Australia are, for all intents and purposes, the equal of men. And that is absolutely correct. One of the reasons, though, that young women and young people and all people in Australia have these freedoms, which we tend to take for granted, is because at times in our history, our armed forces have stood up. All right? You know, the Japanese wanted to invade Australia during World War II. Had that happened, had they succeeded, well, I can tell you, Australia would not be as good a place to live in now. Or World War I, battling German militarism, or whatever. Just the presence of the ADF says to other countries, we are prepared to defend ourselves and defend our way of life. These young women have allegedly spat on that. They're graffiti on war memorials, F the Anzacs, kill the troops. It is disgusting. They're cowards and they're stupid. They're attacking one of the very institutions that protects their rights as young women in modern-day Australia to do pretty much whatever they want to do. Well, I can tell you what they seem to want to do is to deface war memorials here in this city, and I hope that if they're found guilty, the absolute book is thrown at them. Edith Pope, who I believe to be a pro-Palestinian activist, possibly at Melbourne University. I mean, if that's true, you don't give the university a good name. Charlie Tidmarsh of Reservoir. Neither of them are prepared to show their faces in court. So they're happy to deface war memorials, which mean a lot to ordinary people, especially to members or ex-members of our armed forces. All right, they're happy to deface these, but they're cowards because they won't show their own faces in court. They're stupid, they're cowardly, and we should throw the book at them. It just disgusts me in this case because these young women, they have everything that women around the world don't have, you know, freedom to do what they want, to get married, to not get married, to be educated, to have children, to not have children, to have access to excellent quality health care, almost for nothing. And then they spit back in our collective faces. I hope we throw the book at them. The state Liberals have said that if they're elected, this sort of activity could face a penalty in jail of up to 10 years. But the Liberals haven't yet been elected. And we all know what our courts are like. I mean, they will look at this and say, oh, well, it's only graffiti and we can clean it off. And, you know, they're young. And, of course, young people don't really know right from wrong. We'll see. We'll see. And they've still got to be found guilty. Although the fact that they hide their faces sort of, to me, well, it's suggestive of something, isn't it? Let's see what the courts do. But this is as bad an example as you will see of spitting in the faces of our military veterans.